All right, well, hello and happy Tuesday, Central Georgia. It's Meteorologist Ansley Parker here. I'm still in for Alex Pry, and David Guerrero will be here tomorrow. Alex is going to be back next week, so what we're going to do today is continue to take a look at your extended forecast here for the next couple minutes or so. Now, one thing that we really need to talk about heading into the rest of the stream is the tropics. I'm sure you've heard by now, Tropical Storm Erin, our fifth named storm of the 2025 hurricane season, has officially formed over off the west coast of Africa. As we kind of watch this system over the next couple of days, it'll be something we're paying pretty close attention to, kind of just paying attention to its track and its intensity as it pushes further towards the west. So I'm going to show you kind of what the latest spaghetti models are thinking on this. We'll talk a little bit more about the actual intensity of that area, and then pretty soon we will have the 11 a.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. So we're going to talk more about that and two other areas being monitored by the National Hurricane Center. But first, we're going to take a few minutes to take a look at the forecast here in Central Georgia. Take a look at that. The sky, the blue sky is out in Warner Robins, peaking over here in downtown Macon, and you can see it in Dublin and in Perry as well. It has been a while since we've had this clear of skies this early in the morning. I'm hoping this will be the trend for the work week. We're going to have some more breaks in the clouds. We'll see some more sunshine. Hopefully that also means waking up with less cloud cover in the next couple of days as well. So a first sight of sunshine for a while, a welcome sight, at least for me, and I know at least also for our morning anchor Megan Western. We love to see the sunshine, and it's going to come with some cooler, warmer temperatures for the next couple of days. Right now, the high today is expected to be right around 89 degrees. I say this with a little bit of hesitancy because even though it's going to be in the upper 80s, there's a lot of humidity in our area right now. I think we're going to end up feeling more like the low 90s for the rest of the afternoon today, and then humidity is going to play a really big role in our weather for the next few days. I'll show you that here in just a second, but also we do have another chance for rain today. There could be a couple scattered showers and storms this afternoon and evening because of how much moisture we have. Anything that does pop up in the way of showers and storms will end up putting down some pretty good rainfall total. So that will happen later tonight. I don't think it's as great of a rainfall chance as yesterday in terms of the coverage in some of this rain, but I still think there's a chance for isolated showers across the area. So we'll talk about that on the models here in just a second. But this is a look at current numbers across the area. I'm assuming some of these sunnier areas are the ones who've had the chance to climb into the low 90s. Other regions hanging on just barely to the upper 70s. So pretty warm this morning, but this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. In fact, I would consider this to be tropical levels of moisture in our air right now. It is extremely, extremely muggy. This is oppressive humidity that we have across the board. I stepped out my own door this morning and it almost smacked me in the face. I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's even more humid than yesterday, and yesterday was really humid. You can see just how dark green the map is. That's indicating our very muggy category. The dew points are in the 80s. We consider dew points in the mid 70s to be really humid. So to have low 80 dew points on there, it is just completely muggy outside. So because of that, the feels like numbers, we just looked at the actual numbers, upper 70s, low 80s. Take a look at how much that's driving the heat index up across the area. It's already feeling like 100 degrees in Cordele. That's almost 20 degrees warmer than the actual temperature. It's feeling like the mid 90s in our eastern counties, feeling a bit closer to actual value in other areas where the humidity is not quite as bad, but yeah, it is really sticky outside today. You definitely are going to notice that throughout the day today. And like I said, I think moisture is going to play a big role in our forecast in the upcoming week as well. If we just kind of take a look at the satellite and radar, you can sort of see the direction that everything is moving. It's coming up from the south. We're getting some flow from the Gulf coming in, and because of how warm the waters are, we're just filtering in some truly almost tropical-like moisture into our area. It has something to do with this little system down there as well. If we kind of take a zoom in, there we go, the graphics weren't going for me. This is kind of a trough of low pressure that's over here in the northern Gulf. This is causing some disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity here. Now, this is actually an area that the National Hurricane Center has flagged as a region they're watching for potential tropical development. But the thing about that is they've given it a 0% chance of developing into anything over the next 2 days or over the next 7 days, because what's happening, this region is moving inland. So it's not going to have enough time to turn into anything tropical, but because it's a trough of low pressure over these warm waters here in the Gulf, again, it's accumulating tropical-like moisture. And because it's somewhat stationary, it's slowly pushing all this tropical moisture into the southern portions of states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, even southern Georgia is seeing some of this as well, into the Florida panhandle also And these slow moving showers are going to end up, again, just putting down a really impressive amount of rainfall in a short period of time. So because that has kind of caused a flash flooding risk in a couple of areas, and I believe that's why the National Hurricane Center has gone with paying attention to that area. Again, we're going to talk more about that in just a few minutes here, but we're going to keep talking about our weather here in central Georgia for the next little bit. The clouds that we had this morning were widespread. We kind of had blankets of cloud cover across the area. Now some of that's starting to break up. We're getting peaks of sunshine hitting the early, kind of late morning hours here, the early afternoon, and we also had a couple of embedded sprinkles. That was mainly in the northern counties, Hancock all the way to Jasper. There was a few of those, but like I said, the rain will be back heading into this afternoon. So at least as it stands right now, when we take away the clouds, the satellite and radar is quiet. There's not any showers in our specific area, but heading into the afternoon, there will start to be. So if we play this forward on the future view here, you can see that. And I think a lot of this rain for today is going to be better. The chances are going to be better in our western counties. We saw that system down there in the Gulf. So a lot of that moisture is kind of coming in from the southwest. I think that the chances for rain will be better kind of west of 75 this afternoon, but there's a chance to catch a shower or storm anywhere today. It's not exclusive to those areas. I just think those areas have the best shot. So here you can see a couple showers and storms this evening. Similar to yesterday, there could be a couple of thunderstorms in there as well, but we're not expecting severe weather for this afternoon. So the tropical moisture is going to stay with us over the next couple of days. Despite that, we have a change going on in our upper atmosphere. We're not necessarily locked in under that wedge-like pattern anymore. So I think there'll be more sunshine tomorrow, but we'll still have the chance in the afternoon, once the sunshine starts to heat things up, to have a couple more showers and thunderstorms in the area. It's very much back to that summertime thing that you're used to hearing us talk about. Pop-up showers and storms in the afternoons and in the evenings when the heat of the day finally gets to work enough with that moisture to start firing things up. So I think that will be the case Wednesday as well. Could be some good coverage on what we see Wednesday. They're going to be scattered all across the region, so not necessarily one spot having a better shot than the other. That'll be the case for Wednesday. Again, no severe weather expected, but there could be a couple of thunderstorms in there as well. And I think we hang on to this pattern through Thursday also. I don't necessarily think it goes anywhere for the rest of the work week and then heading into the weekend either. It's going to be very similar to the summertime thing. Mornings are going to be quiet, and then as we head into the afternoon, that's when we have the chance to have some scattered showers in the area. So that will be the case all the way through the work week. This plays out to about Friday, but once we flip it over to the long range models, there's no major change in the forecast. You can still see just kind of these paint splatters here on the long range models, indicating that there's going to be a bit of a rain chance every day, probably through the weekend as well, and likely to kick off next work week. And with the flow not changing much over the next couple of days, I think the pattern that you see here today and Wednesday will be the pattern for the upcoming week and into the weekend as well. So with all of that being covered now here with the central Georgia weather, and we'll talk about the numbers here as well in just a minute, let's talk a little bit more about Tropical Storm Erin. So this is the 5 a.m. advisory. Just to give you some perspective, it's 10:38 right now. The National Hurricane Center will do another update coming up at 11 a.m. I'll cover that update and we will have it on 13wmaz.com for you. But with where things stand as of the 5 a.m. update, here is a look at Tropical Storm Erin. This is just kind of to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. It did cause some intense flooding in the Cabo Verde Islands that ultimately did also result in some casualties. So it definitely caused some impressive rainfall before it even became Tropical Storm Erin. And now that it is that, it's continuing to push out towards the west. Luckily, from here kind of until we get to the Lesser Antilles Islands, not expected to impact any land masses over the next little bit. So because of that, it's going to have some time to kind of intensify, to work with the waters in the area, and to kind of just try to get itself together. And that's why the National Hurricane Center does expect that this will become our first named hurricane of the season. We're not necessarily talking about rapid intensification. The waters in this area are not necessarily cool, but they're not quite as warm as the waters that we're seeing over in our region of the Atlantic and in the Gulf. So they're not necessarily working against this system. They're just kind of letting it sustain itself. So some gradual intensification of this system is expected here within the next couple of days. So the National Hurricane Center noted this morning, nothing in the way of impressive intensification has happened so far. So it's still at tropical storm status, probably going to maintain that until we get to about early Thursday morning. That's when the National Hurricane Center says we could see this bumped up to our first hurricane of the season. Now the waters again get a lot warmer as we kind of drift closer to the western Atlantic here. So intensification from a Category 1 all the way to a Category 3 storm is expected as it moves over this region. I will also say with that, this morning with the 5 a.m. update, the National Hurricane Center also said the intensity of this storm, and you can just see by looking how the cone takes a big spread out after we get to the middle part of the week. The intensity and the track beyond the midweek this week are looking extremely uncertain at this time. So it's going to be one of those things we got to take it day by day and see how this system progresses in the Atlantic to really see what it's going to end up doing. So I got kind of emphasizing that with the track here as well. You can see how tight it is until we get to about Thursday, and that's when it expects to intensify into a hurricane. Thursday, you start to see the cone take a big spread out. That just kind of shows the uncertainty that we see beyond the midweek. So we'll watch this. Right now, it's still expected to become a major hurricane. Again, that is a Category 3 or higher. That would be sometime at the end of this weekend. So overall, we're going to be playing the waiting game with Tropical Storm Erin for a while. Also, because the cone only goes out to about the Lesser Antilles Islands. So beyond this, we're not exactly sure if this system is going to hold on to its strength, if it's going to, what kind of path it's going to take. So we're going to need to pay attention to those two things as well. Looks like our GFS model may not have the ensembles in right now. So we'll skip over this one and look at the Euro here. It's just echoing generally the same idea. Pretty good agreement until we get to about the Lesser Antilles Islands, and then you can just see the spread that these ensemble models are taking. A lot of them have the system turning away from the U.S. coast, just pushing further out into the Atlantic and becoming a fish storm. A couple of these models try to track this towards the United States coast, or even a few try to take this over Florida into the Gulf. Right now there is such a big spread and so little agreement, but there is a general trend towards this thing heading up towards the U.S. and then maybe taking somewhat of a turn towards the east. That would be the ideal path that this storm could take. That would mean it would mainly be a fish storm. We might have to talk about what that would mean for Bermuda, but other than that, we really wouldn't have to worry about this system, especially here in the U.S. But I show you this to show you this is the reason why we're going to be paying attention to this over the next week or so. I hope by the time we climb towards the weekend, we might have a better idea of exactly where this thing is going to go. So overall, not a lot to worry about, at least in the immediate future. It's something that I, as a forecaster, am going to be paying attention to over the next week and a half, but that you at home maybe don't need to worry about too much until we start having a little more details. Just something to kind of put in the back of your mind. Outside of Tropical Storm Erin, we actually have two other areas in the tropics being monitored for potential tropical development. The good news right off the bat with both of these areas is I really don't think that they're going to come to any sort of fruition. What you're looking at here in the northwestern Gulf is a non-tropical low pressure system that's got some disorganized showers and storms with it. The reason it's being monitored at all is because it's sitting over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream. The thing about this, though, is you'll notice if we kind of look at the chances of development, 10% chance overall of developing at all. That's a low end chance. That's about as low as it gets. It could show some tropical characteristics throughout the day today, but by the time we head into Wednesday, its chances of development are going to go down to zero. This is going to start drifting a little bit further towards the north, leave the warm waters of the Gulf Stream and encounter some cooler waters, and that's just going to squash the chance of development overall. So do I think this is going to be our next named system? Absolutely not. Do I think this could exhibit some tropical characteristics? Maybe. Overall, it's really not going to be anything to be too concerned about, and definitely not anything to be concerned about here in central Georgia. Now, we talked a few minutes ago about that other area, that trough of low pressure here in the Gulf that's pushing tropical moisture into the deep south. Now, the National Hurricane Center has pointed this area out, I think is a better way to say it, rather than identifying it for potential tropical development. It's at a 0% chance of developing into anything overall. Like I said earlier, it's expected to drift inland today, so it's got no time to sit over the warm waters of the Gulf and develop into anything further, thankfully. But the reason that the National Hurricane Center has pointed it out at all is because, like I said, all that tropical moisture coming into the deep south is going to pose a risk of flash flooding for some areas. I know even North Georgia is watching out for flash flooding today, and parts of central Georgia, but like I said, it's really just going to have, we're going to have the chance to have a few showers in some of those showers the rainfall could be a bit heavier. So luckily, those are the only two areas besides Tropical Storm Erin that are out there right now, and I really don't think either is much to worry about. Now that we have crossed Erin off the list, which we need to do on our names here, we are moving on to the F name. Beyond this, anything that develops will take the sixth name of the 2025 season. That would be Ferdinand. And right now, nothing is looking promising to kind of grab that name, at least in the next 7 days. So here's a look at hurricane frequency, just to kind of remind you with where we're at for the hurricane season. I would say generally, if you're curious with how many things that we've seen so far this year, we're kind of right on track for where we should be, if not slightly behind. The only reason I say slightly behind is because on average, our first hurricane of the season occurs right around August 11th. That's the date that we typically see the first hurricane. We've yet to see that, but we have the system that will likely become our first hurricane. So kind of right on track with that. And then we tend to see the most activity between the months of August to October in terms of the number of storms we've already seen. Again, right on track for kind of where we should be and what the projected number of storms is for the upcoming season. So that's what's going on in the tropics. We'll take it back a little more locally to talk about numbers for the next couple of days. Honestly, the numbers aren't going to be the thing that's going to bother you. Again, it's going to be the humidity. Yesterday's high was 88, below average. The average is 93 degrees. And as we look at the numbers for the next couple of days, they're going to hover right around the same value, kind of all the way through the end of the work week and into the weekend as well. We're talking hovering right around the low 90s, just below average for this time of year. But once you factor in the humidity, I think that that's where it's going to start to feel more like the upper 90s. The National Hurricane Center is already even talking about potential heat advisories for the weekend here in central Georgia. So unfortunately, it's still August. We still have to kind of talk about that. Oh, and I threw in this just to kind of show you. The humidity is not going anywhere for the next couple of days. This dark green color does not leave us all the way into the rest of the work week. So I really, again, don't think it's going to be the numbers that bother you. I think it's going to be the humidity. That's the kicker through the rest of the weekend. That's also going to keep the rain chances up here. You can see that on the 7-day. I don't think the coverage is going to be quite as impressive as what we saw yesterday, but I still think we're going to have a good number of showers and storms across the area through the rest of the work week. And then I think that stays the same way through the weekend as well. Just kind of these isolated showers and storms. Still not expecting to see anything severe. So that's the good news with that. But I do think that there is a decent shot at catching a shower or storm through the weekend and into the weekend, or through the work week and into the weekend as well. So if you've got outdoor plans through the work week or into the upcoming week, and I would just go ahead and throw your rain jacket in your car or your umbrella, whatever you need to kind of duck and dodge a couple of showers and storms here through the next couple of days. So that is what we have going on here in terms of central Georgia weather, and then also in terms of the tropics. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, we are going to have an update from the National Hurricane Center coming up here at 11 a.m. You can find an updated detailed analysis on that on 13wmaz.com. I'll kind of break down what we're expecting to see from that and what the National Hurricane Center is saying about Tropical Storm Erin. Otherwise, if you'd like to track rain in the region throughout the day today and into the upcoming work week, you can find it right here on 13WMAZ+. We have our 24/7 radar stream, and you can stream information from that directly. Thank you so much for joining me. You can join David Guerrero tomorrow morning right here at 10:30. Have a great day.